Good evening, Zimbabwe. Welcome to Livetalk, The Connection, a platform where we discuss issues affecting young people. We are coming to you from Studio 7 at the Voice of America in Washington. This Tuesday, August the 16th, 2022. I am Tungamili Nkomo. Tonight, we are talking about voter registration among the youths in Zimbabwe. And we are monitoring political developments in Kenya, where losing presidential candidate Raila Odinga told a press conference today that he was rejecting the result. Odinga said Vice President William Ruto's victory was null and void, adding he will contest the result in court. This, of course, evokes memories of 2017, when the Supreme Court of Kenya overturned President Uhuru Kenyatta's victory and ordered a rerun after finding that the elections were fraught with irregularities. The Electoral Commission running the country's elections has added more intrigue to the dispute, with 4 of the 7 commissioners refusing to endorse Ruto's victory, arguing that the final phase of ballot counting was not transparent. Lichona njani sapho lweZimbabwe siyahlangana kuhlelo lwe-Live Talk, The Connection. Lamhlanje sixoxa labasakhulayo ngohlelo lokubhalisela ukuvota eZimbabwe. Kodwa sisaxila kakhulu kudaba lwaseKenya lapho osanda kunqotshwa kukhetho lukamongameli. Umnumzana Raila Odinga aveze khona namuhla ukuthi akayamukeli impumela yalolu khetho ngemva kokunqotshwa ngumsekeli kamongameli umnumzana William Ruto. UOdinga yena osenqotshwe kukhetho kahlanu uthi uza kuyayiphikisa limpumela kumthethwa ndaba. Amalunga ekomishini eqhuba ukhetho kwele Kenya lawa adabukene phakathi. Nanku phela amane aphume izolo esithi akavumelani lalimpumela ngoba kukhona okungaqhutshanga kuhle. Amathathu yokuphela athe limpumela iqondile. Kwaziwa yini vatereri ve Studio 7 nasi muchirongwa che Live Talk, The Connection. Tiri kutarisa nyaya yekukurudzira vechidiki veZimbabwe kuti vanyorese kuvhota. Asi nyaya hombe yatiri kubata ndesarudzo dzekukhinya uko vaRaila Odinga vazivisa nhasi kuti havazi kugamuchira kukundwa kwavo nemutevedzeri wemutungamiri wenyika vaWilliam Ruto. VaOdinga vati pane zvisina kufambiswa zvakanaka musarudzo idzi. Nokudaro vaOdinga avo vave nemakore 14 ekuberekwa vati vava kuenda kumatare ukuwo nhengo ina dzekomishini yesarudzo dzakarambawo kutsigira kukunda kwavaRuto. Asi nhengo 3 chete dzinosanganisira sachigaro ndidzo dzinoti zvakabuda musarudzo idzi ndizvo chaizvo zvakaitika. We begin the show today with Mr. Odinga rejecting the outcome of the vote at a press conference today and vowing a legal fight.
A majority of the commissioners walked out and held a press conference where they denounced the results. Our view in Azimio is clear. The figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void. I repeat, the figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void and must be quashed by a court of law. In our view, there is neither a legally and validly declared winner nor a president-elect. Mr. Chebukati's announcement purporting to announce a winner is a nullity. He acted with gross impunity and in total disregard of the Constitution and our laws. He could have plunged our country into chaos had our supporters not exercised great restraint. Such blatant acts of impunity can be a threat to the security of our country. It is not up to us to decide whether Mr. Chebukati has committed an offense. We leave that determination to the appropriate authorities. But for avoidance of doubt, I want to repeat that we totally and without reservations reject the presidential results announced yesterday by Mr. Chebukati. I want to commend our supporters for remaining calm and keeping the peace, and I urge them to continue to do so.
Losing Kenyan presidential candidate Raila Odinga, while President-elect William Ruto has yet to respond to Mr. Odinga, he embraced his victory yesterday and promised to save every Kenyan citizen, including those that did not vote for him.
I want to promise the people of Kenya that I will run a transparent, open, democratic government. And I will work with the opposition to the extent that they provide oversight over my administration. There is no room, there is nothing, there is no room for vengeance, there is no room for looking back. We are looking into the future. I am acutely aware that our country is at a stage where we need all hands on deck to move it forward. We do not have the luxury to look back. We do not have the luxury to point fingers. We do not have the luxury to apportion blame. We must close ranks and work together for a functioning, democratic, prosperous Kenya.
Thus, Kenyan Vice President and President-elect Mr. William Ruto. The announcement of the result yesterday was marked by protests from Odinga's camp, who expected nothing short of victory after getting the endorsement of outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta. And of course, it was all jubilation on the other side of the aisle as Mr. Ruto supporters celebrated the victory of a man who has fashioned himself as a hustler and promised to tackle poverty in Kenya.
With the result in the public sector, all the suburbs open.
supporters there of Uhuru, of Raila Odinga rather, and William Ruto. Some are in celebratory mode, while others were obviously pissed and burning stuff in the streets. And here is what some of those who voted had to say.
I'm from who sell eggs and become president. So even our children can become president.
I'm not feeling good because the results that was being announced has just embarrassed my feelings. Yeah, that is not the way the Chebukati could announce it. Yeah, that is something that is not making sense.
Raila Amolo Odinga speaks right now. It's going to cause a lot of emotional, outbursts. People will get emotional. They are waiting for him to speak. And his silence is what is actually maintaining this calmness in the country.
First of all, the chaos will be spontaneous. It won't be organized. I see no resemblance with the 2007-2008 episode. I am more focused on the fact that there are now better processes, leaner processes that came about because of the 2010 Constitution, which allows contestation through legal channels.
Some of the people that voted in Kenya, they're expressing their views over the outcome of the election. Now, some of you may be wondering where we are going with this Kenyan story and its relevance to Zimbabwe. The reality is that Zimbabwe is holding its own election next year. After another disputed election in 2018. So watching events in Kenya and imagining the situation in Zimbabwe is not a stretch, especially with voter apathy among young people that characterized the Kenyan vote, which looks likely in Zimbabwe going by the voter registration trends. And now to help us dissect this very important topic, we are joined by Mr. Tawanda Mazango, coordinator of Lupane Youth Development Trust. Mr. Mazango, good evening and welcome to Live Talk.
Thank you so much, Mele, and I'm so happy to be here again.
Thank you so much. What's your take on the events that are unfolding in Kenya with Mr. Raila Odinga today totally rejecting the outcome of the election?
This is very bad for our African optics as a people, as a board, and for institutions of Africa, because it totally reflects that as a people we do not accept the verdict or the outcome of institutions like, for instance, in Kenya, we are looking at the IBEC, which is equivalent to ZEC in Zimbabwe, and they are responsible for running the elections and for actually tabulating and coming up with the winner. If there are any discrepancies, I'm sure there are channels that Mr. Odinga was supposed to follow. And he's supposed also to bring up the evidence to say, I'm disputing this election because of A, B, C, D. Something which is tangible, something which is supported by evidence. But above all, I have appreciated the calm which is ongoing despite, the denial of the outcome or whatever was announced by the IBEC, which is equivalent to ZEC of Zimbabwe. The age by the two political parties to calm the supporters that they remain peaceful and to allow the processes, the new processes that are going to take place. I love this because we're giving peace a chance, which is what we expect the people as a continent, so that we find amicable means of solving our problems.
Mm-hmm. And let me bring in our second guest. Please do stay on the line, Mr. Mazango. Let me welcome Yangasen Matete, Executive Director of Project Vote 263. Vama Tete tinokugamuchirai muchirongwa.
Thank you very much, thank you very much listeners in Zimbabwe and the world at large.
Muri kuzvionawo sei zviri kuitika kuKenya uko Raila Odinga vachitaura nhasi kuti havazi kugamuchira zvakabuda musarudzo uyezve vakuenda kumatare?
Zvakabuda musarudzo dzeKenya kazivisa kuKenya vantungamiri atitichamisi munobva kuti Kenya yakafanana neZimbabwe ine history yema-contested elections. So if you look in Kenya in 2007, we had a contested election that even the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission in Kenya, if you know the results or even if you know who won the election, but he went on to declare President Mike Party as the winner. Which is something that led to widespread violence in Kenya that was the tribal. And if you look again in 2017, you know that Mr. Raila Odinga actually went to the Supreme Court against the results that were published by the IEBC of Kenya, and actually the Supreme Court overturned the results. Saying, and as I quote, that the Supreme Court actually indicated that the elections were made a free and fair. So the Republic of Kenya petition is a good team. There is other side of the commission, three commissioners, including the chairperson, declared William Sano Ruto as the winner, and others who are including the deputy commissioner, like the deputy chairperson. They are saying the results are illegitimate, they are not true. So in Africa, we've got a problem of institutions which are not just the fidelity or which cannot run a free and fair election. It is actually something that we need to work on because these electoral management bodies are the midwives to democracy, but they are the ones that are now stifling democracy. So that's the challenge that we have in Africa. So as it is challenging, it is not good to do that.
Mr. Mazango, ngiphenduke kuwe. You know, what makes this whole saga interesting ikuthi i-commission ephethe lolu khetho sibone amalunga ali-commission amane bonke bangu-7. Izolo sibone abane bephuma besithi hayi kabavumelani lempumela ethi ubaba uRuto nguye onqobileyo. Then abathathu bekhokelwa ngumgcini sihlalo wekomishini yibo abathi hayi impumela iqondile kufana nje laseZimbabwe sibone umgcini sihlalo uChigumba ephuma labanye ababili besithi hayi umnangagwa uwinile, then abanye abayi4 besithi hayi kasivumelani lo kuwina kukaMnangagwa. Ubona inkantolo iluphatha njani lolu daba njengoba ubaba uRaila Odinga esesithiwe enkantolo?
Ya lolu daba lukanzima ikakhulu lisenzele ukuthi okwenze kumbe abantu abaphume ngobuningi besiyavota besiyakhetha inkokhelo abayifunayo abaphumile besiyakuvota besiyadinga ukuthi okufunayo ngobuningi babo ayisikho esikhathini thina ngokugcina kureflecta ku-outcome ye-election kumbe outcome yokhetho because lokhu kutshengisela ukuthi ma uza kuba nabangu-4 abana azakuthi hayi impumela eliqanjale ayisiyo, abathathu bathi hayi kunje. So kutshengisela ukuthi labana abaphume ngobuningi besiyavota abakuvoteleyo ayisikho okumayo, laba abangu-7 yibasebe le-mandate yokukhetha ukuthi hayi thina sizibonisa ubani kumbe silezisa ubani. So khona kuyana kubuyela back ukuthi kusitshengisa ukuthi ama-institutions esilawo thina okwakumele abe independent, ama-institutions eseyosiyakhile ukuthi amende i-peace njalo akwanise ukuthi ahloniphe impumela kumbe izinto eziningi ezifuna ngokuningi ngozulu. Wakuhambe njengokuba bamelele okuliqiniso asilakho e-Africa, asilakho asikubona eKenya and sikhangela ukuthi ngakubona futhi kwelethu eZimbabwe umnyaka ozayo.
Aha, ndidzoke kwamuri vamatete. Muri kuona matare chibata sei nyaya iyi, because tiri kutarisa not only Raila Odinga ari kuti haiwa pane zvisina kufambiswa zvakanaka apa. We are also looking at nhengo dze-electoral commission ina pakati pe-07 zichiti haiwa hatizi kubvumirana nezvabuda musarudzo idzi. Muri kuona matare achibata sei nyaya iyi?
You know, one thing that we go over, but it will be surprising if because actually the started decision that is favor of William Ruto. Because like you highlighted, IEBC walikuramba marizauti acho, so hakuna taringa kunakutikana inwari marizauti wasimaramba yari kuti marizauti ari correct, but you know, this is Africa, anything can happen in Africa. But we are hoping that even in 2017 when Raila Odinga went to the Supreme Court on the same issue, because it was the same issue, the telling of the South. The Supreme Court actually pointed that it was irregularity. Even the IEBC commissioners actually united. One wakatibatana wachisapota that I am about to but the Supreme Court that no, they will not correct the irregular. So we are hoping that the Supreme Court is going to pass a decision that's going to protect not only the integrity of the judicial system of Kenya, but also of Africa. Because what is happening in Kenya is that especially in Zimbabwe and other countries that have a fragile democratic system that is very fragile. So, and only but in Africa, but that only ships of Timakosa and Africa, but in the but cannot go Maramba. But my commission of Kenya is not at 4 against 3. We also pray that it could evidence suppose that because beyond the claim the next process my evidence return the board because in law it says you alleged must prove. So my commissioner Parukutiwa has frequently worked with an extent which it was in the act. And also we need also to answer the institution that is supposed to deliver democracy, how that it arrives to that. And also we need to strengthen our law to say that as a commission that we make 7 members or 8 members of commissioners, how do they arrive to pass a decision that they need also the majority or anyone who is interested can just pass the decision and that's about the father. This is another concern that we also raise as Africa to say that if before people are saying without their own and only people are saying the right, how do they arrive to that decision? And how do they arrive to actually go and announce this to the South?
Vayangasen Matete, Executive Director of Project Voter 263. Please do stay on the line. Pamwechete lo mnumzana Tawanda Mazango owenhlanganiso yelupane Youth Development Trust. For those that have just joined us, we are streaming live on our Facebook pages, VOA Shona, VOA Studio 7, as well as VOA Ndebele. We are also live on YouTube at VOA Zimbabwe. Now back to our panelists. The issue of voter registration in Zimbabwe, Mr. Mazango, how do you see that impacting the next election that's next year? Because we saw in Kenya there was massive voter apathy. Labantu abasakhulayo abafana lani kabayanga voter kukhetho lwaseKenya. eZimbabwe siyazi abasakhulayo abanengi abafuni ukubhalisela ukuvota. Kusikhathi lesesiseleyo ubona mhlawumbe bekhangela umzekeliso weKenya labo bephakama bethi hayi kasifuna ukuthi ukhetho lwethu kucina kusiba le dispute njengaseKenya asambeni siyevota ngobunengi njengabasakhulayo.
Thank you very much. Kuba perception engayisiyo abasakhula abafuna ukuyaregister ukuvota. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this from experience and from what I'm witnessing on the ground. Right now, I'll tell you, Mr. Tungameli, just in Lupane, on a daily basis, we're overwhelmed by young people that are seeking assistance from us as an organization to help them with transport, with lunch, so that they will be able to access the registration point, which is at Lupane Center. And you'll find the majority of them, they'll be traveling distances on foot of over 7 kilometers to access the registration point. I mentioned just yesterday, the over 17 young people that traveled from Jocholo, which is like 35 kilometers, to Lupane just to come and register. And it costs each $2 to access the registration center. So the major issue is not about just people do not want to register, but it's about the accessibility of the registration center. And if we look back, this is, voting, one man, one vote, is one of the chief grievances that actually motivated Zimbabwe to our forefathers to take up arms against the white colonial regime. And kunjalo it's at the moment less than 350 days. What do you think in 2023? But there is less movement or there is less political will from the what you think clearly. And you realize that in 90% of my youth now, from 2010 up to now, ideas. But now, because there's been a 6-month exercise that was being done by the Registrar General, majority of them now is IDs and they are eager to register, but they can't access a registration point. So we urge and we move forward for the they dream down.
Isibonge Mr. Mazango isikhathi sesihambile othi ngilethe ubaba Matete yebo uthi Lupane bayabhalisa, but looking at the bigger picture nationally is a different story. Vamatete muri kuona vechidiki vachibudawo vachinonyoresa kuvhota here uyezve vachivhota neuwandu musarudzo dza 2023 kuZimbabwe?
Chimetika one thing that is that my youth they are saying to vote against the and the Kenya is going to actually negatively impact our own election because one of the key issues that is causing or promoting the party is the lack of faith in the institutions that manage the elections, such as the Livetalk Commission and the IEBC of Kenya. So that is the thing Kenya is going to put a very negative precedent to Zimbabwe. Negative Marita committing the managerial elections, no state supposed to take the president power. And these things that are actually happening, it might actually be fake and that is true. And the other factors we have to learn is that 2023 elections, Marita mentioned. In general, if you look at France, South Africa, Nigeria, even Kenya, and the other countries, Buddha are one issue number one, no one is talking about how the climate change and the drought, unemployment, the corruption, and the lack of
thank you there Matete. Sorry, we have to leave it there, and this brings us to the end of our show. Nguva ndiyo yaita shanje isikhathi sesesidiwe ngumangoye. Thanks to our guest Mr. Tawanda Mazango of Lupane Youth Development Trust, as well as Mr. Yangasen Matete, Executive Director of Project 4263. Let's make another date next week. I am Tunga Milinkomo. Good night, Zimbabwe.